is 15:02.
We're late.
Notice of Maritime Safety Committee of the City of Nassau Bay, Texas. This notice is posted in pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act. Notice is hereby given that the Maritime Safety Committee of the City of Nassau Bay, Texas will hold a meeting on February 4th, 2025 at 3 p.m. at the City Hall Council Chambers, 1800 Space Park Drive, Suite 200, Nassau Bay, Texas, 77058. It's the call to order. Roll call of members.
Jim Starr.
Jason Small.
Jeff Woodman.
Audrey Hervey.
Brian Brown.
Paul Lopez.
Okay, and then both Chief Cromie and Chief George are out and about. They may be poking their heads in. All righty, so we will move on to item 3, the citizens' comments. To hear all citizens' comments at a reasonable hour, the Maritime Safety Committee requests that speakers respect the 3-minute time limit for individual comments and a 5-minute time limit for an individual speaking on behalf of a group. This is not a Q&A session. However, it is an opportunity to voice your thoughts with the committee members. Also, if you would, the tablet is live. If you would just speak up, because we will also, Maria is allowing us to use these as our minutes. So you're heard, it helps things out greatly. So if anyone's interested in taking their 3 minutes, please stand up, state your name, rank, serial number.
You want me to stand any particular place?
Wherever's comfortable for you.
Face this way?
You can face
Okay.
us, as long as it hears you. That's the
Glenn Venables, 18222 Caprice Lane. I have 2 inputs for you to consider possibly to add to your job jar. One of the areas for improvement within the city for a number of years has been metrics. And a few years back, the city made a really significant investment in the new 25-foot RBS boat, stepping up from the whatever it was, the 19-foot center console. So and it looked to me like, based on what I've seen in expenditures, there's been about $300K spent on the boat, on the new RBS boat. So the suggestion is, what I'd like to see is some metrics on the utilization of that boat to kind of corroborate the return on investment, if you will. You know, things like number of days used per month, number of patrol hours, number of citations, number of warnings, number of stop, you know, that kind of data, I think, would be a plus to provide that feedback. So that's one input for your consideration. Secondly, the second one is a simple item, is the rhetorical question: what is the city's response plan for the Maritime Committee, not the committee, the city's response to a maritime emergency? You know, do they have a plan? Do they have a call chain set up? If there was a maritime emergency right now in front of the Hilton, what happens? And who calls whom, and how's that set up? So does the city have a crude plan defined? So that's it.
Thank you, Glenn.
Good question.
All right.
I guess I could add. I'm Chris Wilkie. I have a drone operating license, and if y'all are needing metrics or counting or something like that, and not really enforcement, but just how many people are out on the water to give a notice, I could launch my drone, look around for a little bit if y'all would need help with numbers or anything like that, or other stuff. But that's what I do. I'm also a paid EMS person, so if I'm on duty, y'all might get me for whatever reason. But if I'm there, I always have my drone on me for whatever reason.
All righty.
What's your name again?
Chris Wilkie.
Chris. Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone on the dais have any comments or anything they want to add in real quick before we get into the meat?
I'll just chime in with Glenn. I think he's absolutely right. And Chris has already been helpful getting information to us, or at least to me, without sharing that.
Herb, you got any?
No, I said it's splendid. That's wonderful that you're getting some data and you volunteering. That resource is phenomenal, and I mean, great questions about what we should be doing, where we should be looking as far as emergency response. So, yeah, that's good.
Jason, correct. All righty. Just a couple of small things. We've got a couple of small announcements. One, City Council will have a meeting on this coming Monday at 7 o'clock here in Chambers. And on this Friday, which will be February 7th? February 7th, this Friday at 9:30 in the morning, City Council will have a joint session with the City Council, the EDC, the Nassau Area Management District, and the Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone Board. And they'll be discussing some developments regarding the Hilton. Also, just a couple of notes going into the agenda here. For right now, signage I'd like to keep separate from aids to navigation, but once we kind of get the signage portion of everything, where we want it to be, I'm going to roll it into aids to navigation, and it'll just be one general topic. But for right now, signage is a big item, so we're just going to kind of keep it as its deal. And then Glenn, Chief Cromie actually just handed out this little 2024 Marine Operations Log. And all it is just the regular scheduled hours the boat was utilized between Memorial Day and Labor Day, just for the summer season itself. So he's got some metrics already ready to go, and I'm sure we can ask him to get a little bit more detailed information for us going forward.
There you go.
Thanks.
All right, so let's just get into the meat and potatoes now. So under the regular agenda, signage. So we're going to discuss regarding location, size, verbiage, purpose of signs along the territorial waters of Nassau Bay. So we've, if you look in your handouts, we've got the printout where it shows where we have a lot of signs already. And I know we've kind of touched on it last meeting regarding what the signs currently say. Do we need more signage? Do we need to change some of the verbiage? Do we need to make the signs bigger? And so I'm going to rely more on guys who are zipping in and out of there on a regular basis.
Sure. Now, we're including buoys in this, huh?
Buoys will be under the aids to navigation.
So no wake buoys as well would be aids to navigation?
The no wake buoys will be ATONs. This is the actual physical dayboard signage.
Okay, that's a clarity.
Yeah.
So one of the things that the city did, maybe 2 months ago, I forget, went out there and changed the no wake to no excessive wake to no wake.
Yes.
And that is so interesting following that stuff on Facebook. Because I think 90% of the people that I followed that make comments about it love the idea. They love the idea. The other 10%, in my opinion, are not boaters. I consider a boater as somebody that spends time on a boat during the weekend and not just come out and just play once in a while. But mostly, and you chimed in with part of it too, where you made a comment that the Harris County, the city of Nassau Bay annexed, I'm trying to get clarity, annexed part of that area from the Hilton down to the, down to the past the lagoon, into the lagoon, and at least up to the peninsula, right?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
And then the navigable waters up through on the northern half of Clear Creek, and then at that point when it bifurcates off to Cow Bayou, at the confluence of Cow and Clear, then we've got the eastern half of Cow Bayou up to Nassau Road, the bridge over Nassau Road 1.
Yeah, the other part's Webster.
And then, that's Webster, and then the rest of the way, then the south side of Clear Creek, and then Clear Creek going past the confluence is going to be League City.
So the comments about the signage, I think people, most of the cases, you know what we're talking about there? Right across from, right at the end of the peninsula, looking towards the hill.
Yes.
That area now has been changed, I think, at least started to be changed. But some of the signs are way too small. I mean, you can't see it going by 3 miles an hour, you can barely read it.
So, I mean, I'm seeing pretty good observance of the no wake through the channel for the most part. But coming around the curve, everybody hooks up again and is running through Nassau Bay pretty much on plane. And then they get down into the cove itself and usually slow down. So, I mean, I think that, and we have two signages there. One is on the bulkhead, and then one is on a piling out on the peninsula. But the sign itself is smaller there, so when we moved to no wake, the sign got smaller. And again, I think that people are just used to seeing buoys. So I don't know. I mean, I think increasing the size of those signs may help, but I think at the end of the day, to really get the communication there, I think we're going to need to rely on buoys.
Both buoys and markers. Yeah, they're saying that. So I think, Paul, when so there's a picture taken of on the sea tow, and there's a public works picture on there. The guys moving some of the pictures, moving some of the signs. At least it looked like that. And I think one of those signs might still be the big one about the size.
Yeah, we have
You know
that. Yeah, I think we did that one about 5 years ago. It's a 4x8.
Yeah.
Engineer reflective. Everything is lettered reflective on there. That's that big one that's coming in. And then I believe we have another one. As soon as you take that left, it's off to the right, kind of. Right there.
But these are signs that say
Ordinance, no
excessive weight and no
no
weight.
excessive weight, which will
so those have
change.
been removed, right?
No, they're still there. They're still there. I think you're going to cover up the no excessive, or the excessive weight,
Okay.
and then leave the ordinance
Right.
and the safety boater.
Right. It's good.
So the two,
I believe there's two, yes.
the two that are in between the peninsula and Upper Bay Road, I think on both of those, the larger backboard is still there, but the reflective sign was removed and a smaller sign was put in place. It just says no wake on
Okay, we take a look at
it.
that.
Pretty sure.
It's almost the
Okay.
size of post. I mean, post.
Yeah, it's pretty small.
Okay.
Very small.
So those, I think, there is the opportunity to go back with a larger reflective sign that says no wake, and maybe no wake, slow no wake, traditional styling of a no wake sign. Since those boards are already there, might as well use them.
Okay.
Would also designating, especially if you're talking about putting it up towards that bulkhead, as people come in, they see the bulkhead, they see the no wake sign, hopefully a larger one, the direction saying, pointing to the left,
So you're talking
no
about
wake.
Upper Bay, you're talking about Upper Bay Road.
Coming up on, as you come up, onto Upper Bay itself, everything to the left, would designating with an arrow saying, similar to no standing or no parking this, in this direction.
Maybe. I mean, again, it's kind of non-traditional, but maybe an arrow pointing that direction would help.
Obviously, in addition to maybe some buoys and stuff.
So, I think there's two things that we're trying to communicate. One is the no wake, and then the other is the anchoring part, right? The anchoring portion is a bit hard to communicate. Now it's how do you clearly communicate, that you can anchor, to this side of a certain area, not the other side of a certain area, right? Being the 100 foot, so I think it's 100 or 150 feet, whatever the designation is. So I think that's where it's going to be harder to communicate that with buoys and more appropriate probably to communicate that with signage, because to your point, you're going to have some designation and say, over here is okay, over here is not okay, right? I think right now there's only the one sign in the cove itself, right, that says no anchoring, 100.
Yeah, to the left.
Down and to the
Yeah,
left.
to the left.
So I think, if we're really wanting to make sure people anchor in designated areas, we're going to have to improve how that's communicated.
So why is that?
So is that what we want? I mean, I know that, not be being a bearer of bad news or nothing like that with dark cloud, but the first time we talked about it, it seemed like it was just a topic of conversation. Is that something that we want to happen? It sounds
Anchoring at all?
well, trying to control the.
Yeah.
So why would we care?
That's kind of where I
The idea, why do you care where they anchor? It's they're trying to keep them from anchoring close to the homes.
Yeah, so that's why they've got that 100-yard.
We're talking about two different locations now. You're talking about inside the cove.
Yeah,
Okay.
inside the cove.
Yeah, so,
you've got,
on the east side.
you do have some anchorage area
Right.
up there towards the tip of the peninsula, on top of the, just north of where it chokes down.
In reality, right, I've never, and again, I live on a bay, I see that, I've never seen anybody anchor close to the bulkhead in kind of the transit area here. People anchor up to the peninsula, which is not a problem. So the reality of it is, the only place I think it's an issue is down here in the cove where people are anchoring near the homes there.
And while we say anchoring the committee here, we haven't designated these as actual anchorage areas.
Well, no, I think the ordinance, as I understand it, says that you have, that anchoring's okay, but it has to be done within, again, 100 feet.
100 foot.
100 feet.
Right.
from
So,
the bulkhead.
from the last conversation that I remember, it was from Chief Cromie, I think even Tom, said if we put the buoys there that says 100 mark, that basically when they come in for enforcement, if you were in the left side of these buoys, you get a violation.
Yeah, and again, it's just like, the concern is just how do you communicate that in a clear way? Because now you're talking about something to where they have to read it and see, okay, I need to be to one side of these buoys, and then I have to understand where the buoys are. And it's just, I think it's a lot to
I agree.
communicate.
And that's why I was asking you, I wasn't sure if that's something we could process.
And it is challenging for us a lot of times because we've gone from 1/4 inch galvanized wire to, I think we're up to maybe 1/2 inch stainless steel. And we got the tubs, and I think it's about 250 pounds. But, you know, sometimes they pick them up and move them, or they get caught in the bottom. So that's one of the big challenges. So we're thinking about maybe getting a bigger anchoring system.
You're talking about for buoys, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yes, we get them moved all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a standard buoy, design or height or?
For no wake, there is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for designated anchoring areas, I mean, I've seen, there's buoys like for, pipeline or highline areas that say no dredging, no anchoring here. But to try to say anchor in this area, that's I haven't seen a lot of something that's specific.
That have to be custom. I work with the sign company. They said they could do anything for us, but just trying to get all that, I think, on one buoy, 100 feet, do not anchor here. I mean,
And the problem is, the buoys rotate, right? So it's not
Yeah.
like you can say.
They rotate if the tide goes out, and now you got slack on the line, and they'll swing.
Yeah.
and I think we need the 3 points, 3 points in all of ours.
I'd recommend talking about the north side of the peninsula, again, where that channel is. We have a city sign that's on page, location 12, about 3 to 4 pages from the end. It shows that there's a picture there with a signage, and it says City of Nassau Bay ordinances, and a pelican sitting on top. You can see that.
Which one?
Yeah.
Did you say?
Yeah,
Right here.
yeah.
Okay.
But you cannot read that in a boat. I'll guarantee you, going by that 5 miles, you cannot read that.
It's very small.
It's so small, it's like a postage stamp. That needs to be twice the size. See what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And that's,
Yeah, we went back with the standard 4x8 on it, but, we could probably reduce the logo and increase the font of the lettering. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Even from this picture, it is kind of.
And that's the only place where there's one of those, right? That's not repeated anywhere else.
correct.
So I think that might be,
correct, yeah.
that might be helpful to also have one of these at least in the cove area. Or maybe in the narrow section where they're entering the cove.
Yeah, good idea.
Do you think a flashing light or small beacon would be useful at all to try to draw people's attention to the sign?
We put solar lights on it, and then just with the birds pooping on it. That's what we have with the navigation light too. We get that a lot. We try to clean it off a lot. Yeah, we try to even think about maybe attaching solar to the bottom, uplighted. And it's all fairly cheap nowadays.
Yeah.
Solar.
You're talking about the markers going into the channel, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I saw them last night, and they were all working last
Okay,
night. But
good.
they're just small, but.
Yeah.
I just think that you've got the posting of the quote-unquote rules here, right? But it's pretty far from where people are anchoring and actually having
Very far.
So
I could do
just-
I could do a draft, have my site company do a draft and come back at the next meeting. Maybe some bigger font and maybe the logo split smaller.
Yeah, I mean, and any additional stuff, like any ordinance information that needs to be, actual citation of, this is the ordinance number, yada, 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 that can all be, smaller font. They don't need to see that, from a distance. They need the warning, no wake.
Gotcha.
That's what you need to see. Once you get, if you get up close, then you can say, oh, okay, ordinance such and such. Just like on the political side, it says, vote for Joe Blow, and then very small print, do not put this in a median, Texas code, whatever.
Okay. I'll get some different drafts.
And I think that what you're looking for here, right, is, I don't know what all is on this sign, but it's the no wake, it's the limitation on anchoring near the shoreline, and then it's the limitation on how much rafting together.
Well, no, this time here it just says city of Nassau.
Oh, and noise
City of
ordinance.
Nassau.
Okay.
That's the one.
Oh, it just says City of Nassau, right?
That's one thing it says.
There was the old,
Sign 11 on the upper portion says City of Nassau Bay, and underneath it's got a slope.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, location 11 does have the ordinance, and then some, I think there's 4 bullet points there.
Do we have anything identifying that this is a residential area?
Yeah, I was actually gonna mention that.
I don't recall anything being out there. That might be something to look into, is identifying, everything from, I guess from where Martinique comes in to Upper Bay, everything down that way is, it's from there all the way down to the park, it's residential.
Yeah. So maybe what we can do is we can come back with recommended bullets for the sign.
Okay. Yeah.
And you can take that to your sign maker.
And what I can do is I could send Maria what's out there now, send it to the committee members.
Right, yeah.
What we have out there now.
Is there any mention that fines may apply, or something using the word fines kind of alert people?
I don't think there's any signs on there. I mean, any fines. I don't
Just to
know.
get attention drawn to it.
Or who's enforcing.
Okay. Let me get a picture of the sign and I'll send it.
Okay.
Well, I don't know, do we have to really, who's enforcing it? Because we're saying the city of Nassau Bay. I mean, state fishing game can come out there.
Yeah, that's true, because then you kind of limit who can do.
I think just clear communication, and I have seen, glad you brought that up. I forgot to, I brought out a couple of, I printed out a couple of examples of some pretty good signage going into residential boating areas. But I walked over here and I forgot to bring it with me. But yeah, I think that as long as we're hitting speed and signage, not in addition to the buoys, right? And we're talking about noise and littering. I'm not sure how much more. As long as there's clear signage about that, I'm not sure how much more we can do. We have to let the responsible boater. There's always going to be an idiot. We have
To
to
highlight the key points.
Exactly. And I'm not sure about any type of, if this is an issue or not, but on some of the posts, to have those maybe coming through the channel, just like midway, that might say low noise, no littering, just so that as you're going no wake anyway, now you have time to actually see it and read it, then bam, you see the big one on the bulkhead, and now you've got a little lesson, you got a little tutoring as you're going slow, you get a chance to read as you go.
That's a good question.
Yeah, by all means.
So going with somebody that likes to skirt the rules, where does that no wake zone start? Is it just in between those posts? Because what I have done in the past is that whole shallow area, like as you're coming in with Upper Bay in front of you, that whole area that's super, super shallow to me is no man's land. You can blaze a trail right through there, and I agree with putting the markers on those posts, but if you're coming from the diagonal way, or some of these people who just rent a boat or don't know the area, they cut through that area and they don't know it's a foot deep, 2 feet deep. And then when they get there, is that all nobody cares, or is that still a no wake zone, or where does the no wake zone start in that area?
I don't think that area, you're right, because that area is still in the what's been zoned, like all the way kind of crossing over to the point and then over to the Hilton.
Mm-hmm.
But it hasn't really been discussed as far as any type of regulation there, even over by Swan Lagoon.
But where would it start? There. Like even if you didn't do anything, because a lot of people know it's shallow, where does that start between this is okay versus no okay?
Yeah, what we've been focused on really is the channel and into the cut of Nassau Bay and into the.
So then from like the boat ramp to that end of that post is where it would start, or from the end of the channel to the boardwalk?
Yeah.
Where would y'all?
So yeah, I mean, it really, we need to look at that. Right now, we're talking about the channel and then kind of cutting in. So even to north of the channel over the boat ramp really isn't, designated at this point, based on what we kind of discussed. You're talking about the boat ramp, I think.
The sapphires.
Yeah, now that area has really been discussed.
The boat ramp you're talking about up here with sapphires, which is just a piece of junk. It's all torn out. It's not really a boat ramp, it's just a danger zone.
And how good, I mean, realistically, how good is the water? How deep is it?
Shallow.
Very shallow.
Well, on normal tides, I mean, you can up on plane, you can go through there.
You can skirt it on a big boat.
Yeah.
But once the wind pushes out all that water, it'll become high. But normally it's probably 2 feet deep in most of that area.
Yeah, in the center in particular, it gets pretty shallow. So, and a lot of people do that. I mean, even now, people see the no wake markers on the channel, and so they run out. They just go outside the channel, and then they cut in, and they're still up on plane and going. So. That's a big area to try to control by sign.
But I'm wondering where, with buoys, like if y'all had buoys that are from that one post to that boat ramp and have like 2 of them in there, that would be no wake zones, then it would at least be from this point forward.
Yeah.
And it would designate all of that all down the boardwalk, all down everywhere. Because I'm just thinking, how would I not follow this?
Yeah.
And that's how I wouldn't follow it. I would just not be in those areas.
Yeah, of course.
Definitely something to look into.
Mm-hmm.
We'll make that an item. The next meeting, we'll make that agenda item, no wake zone.
Does it say, any of the signage say this is the city of Nassau Bay coming into the lagoon?
It doesn't say that, it just has City of Nassau. You're now entering, I believe it says you're now entering.
Yeah, I think that
Nassau
one big
Bay.
sign does.
On that big sign.
Yeah.
So
Big sign where?
The one on 11, the one,
it's in between
the
the channel
location.
and
It says, I think, welcome to Nassau Bay.
That's what I'm talking
Welcome to,
That's the only one that says Nassau Bay.
Yes.
Yeah, that one's up physically on the point.
Yeah, I know where it is.
Yeah.
So I've been by there before and just kind of monitoring and stuff. So that's not new to me. I've been doing this for years. I'm so glad we're here doing this stuff. I tell you, I can't tell you how many people have sat in that chair that I've talked to about this over the years. They have not done anything, just because life gets busy. So I'm glad we're doing this. I'm still really honored to be on this committee doing this stuff. And I think we're going to do some good. What I like is the fact we're getting this thing started. This is February. And we have a little bit of time to get some things together before the boating season starts. So the timing is right for us.
Yeah. What taking that into account, what should we expect as far as procurement and kind of installation? That both from this aspects of signs and buoys.
The signs and the buoys, public works guys can handle anything as far as the channel markers, the pylons, anything. I usually get Payne Brothers to do all that. And we're now working with, beside Payne, we could use their barge and towboats. We've had one before.
Red and white boat,
Yeah.
yep.
And so typically, we like to work with Tom, the fire department, and they can do some assessments while we're out there working and stuff. So we can handle all the buoys, all the signage, anything bigger than that, pilings, I think with us. And we're pretty fast. We could turn around stuff within about a week or two. My signs, buoys, I can get them in probably in about 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
And then my guys get them in about a week.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of that stuff can be bought online too, can't it? I mean, a lot of.
Yeah, we look online, we look for the best prices.
Sure.
Yeah, we stock, if there's on sale, we'll stockpile our solar lights, navigation lights, so yeah.
In terms of pilings, location 14, again, the survey was taken almost a year ago now.
Okay.
The survey was done May 27th, 24. But location number 14, I don't know if that piling has been reset
Okay.
or not. That's something to look into. It's just, as you guys are coming in, if everything else is looking straight, you got one that's kind of over. Just from an aesthetic point of view.
Yes.
Obviously, the long-term integrity of the piling.
It also says we're not paying attention if that pole's in that way.
Yeah. I think we've got the signs, at least a good starter on the signs going, which we now go into unless someone else got anything specifically on signs, we can slide into the next portion, which is aids to navigation. Discussion regarding condition, location, visibility of existing ATONs, and recommendations for additional if needed. I'd also like to discuss, we may take action on this, creating a subcommittee for ATONs. So basically having a couple of you guys who, as you go out, on your regular time, hey, you see something, you report it back, and then it just kind of becomes your general responsibility to say,
Good idea.
so that's something we'll discuss when we get to that portion of things. But I guess for right now, we've already kind of brought in the no-wake buoys and stuff with the signage. Now you mentioned anchoring and folks not being too clear on where to anchor, where's not to anchor. Now, I'm going to throw a crazy one at you. It might not be that crazy, I don't know.
We'll find
But
out.
an actual navigable channel, red and greens, along the way coming down into the cove.
Now, you're talking about west of the peninsula.
Yeah, inside the cove itself.
Okay.
So once you clear the day boards and whatnot, you come in, start getting into the inner parts of the cove. I mean, we've got the markers that say 100 foot. These are the 100-yard lines. What if we put an actual, or recommend that they put an actual channel? Put a few markers here and a couple red and greens along the way. That way people know this is the transit area. And then once they leave the transit area,
No,
and that makes it a little easier to identify.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
For some control and guidance and keeps it like.
Because right now it's pretty wide, pretty open. I don't know what the distance is, but it's pretty open.
The only thing I would say is that, again, typical transit areas is a guide for depth, right? There's nothing that says you have to be in this section.
But a lot of people will follow. If they see a red and a green, they're gonna stay in between it just because they're gonna know.
Got another one, guys. This is in good hands.
Yeah, I know it does.
The first thing that comes to mind is, as a responsible boater, if I saw that I wanted to anchor, I know that I'm not, unless it's an emergency, I'm not supposed to be anchored in a channel. So unless we're going to use it as a guidepost or guidance to not anchor at all, or are we using it just to make sure that like residents that live back there can get where they're going? Because then it's really gonna, I guess if the ultimate goal, if the desired end state is we don't want a bunch of anchoring over here, then I would say, yes, it sounds good. But just from having an area where people can actually enjoy themselves, and I know it gets rowdy sometimes, yeah, but 90% of the time it doesn't. It's our goal, is our intent to mitigate anchorage. anchor.
It's, I think the goal is to make sure that they know to anchor,
Where? Beyond a certain.
and if you again, responsible boaters are not going to anchor, like you said, unless it's an emergency, they're not going to anchor in a navigable channel. So this would kind of push them towards making sure that they are complying with the 100-yard deal, but at the same time, it also would keep some folks from, say, coming completely across. You come in the top side of the anchorage. If you want to come in on the north side, but you want to go and anchor down towards the south side, you might follow that down a little bit more before you cut in. And if there's people swimming,
Or
it can keep them out of the way. Again, just throwing some.
My concern is you've got so many, you have so many people that have already used this area and know what it is from their perspective. I think they're just going to ignore it. I just don't think they're
I
going to
think so
follow
too. I mean, unless it's just a novel thought, if there was some marker, either red or green one at the 100-foot area, right? And it gives them an idea that I shouldn't really be, if we have the signage that say nothing within 100 feet, maybe that channel or a hybrid version of it can also pose as a 100-foot kind of demarcation line for the residential.
I think that's what Tom was kind of indicating here with these pins he put in here.
Yes, that's where your 100-yard mark is.
Yeah.
And you could do, I mean, theoretically, you could put buoys there that say anchor beyond this point only, right? You just have to hope that it accurately communicates that it's outside.
Brian,
Yeah.
while you were talking, I Googled how to designate the no-boat anchor zone, and some specifics came up. I mean, basically, you can Google it, but basically it said, mark it on the navigation charts, and it said, put buoys at the perimeter.
Yeah.
And there were more things than that, but those were the basics that came up when I Googled it. I didn't hear you discuss buoys along the perimeter of the no-boat.
Could I show you a picture? So could I approach? Okay, so this is a picture of the 4th of July. And normally, people follow that as a navigable waterway from here to there, and they're always over here because nobody wants to.
Right.
So I think if you want to put it as the red and green, it really wouldn't have a negative effect.
Okay,
It would give
well,
everybody that is a definite.
Well, before we recommend, because again, doing something like that, it costs.
Of course,
Costs money.
already they're.
So if they're already complying, is it, it may not have a negative, but is it going to have a positive benefit? That's what we want to focus on, is positive benefit. Yeah, so they're already
For the most
keeping pretty well off the residences right there. Give or take.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as we discussed, most of the boaters are pretty, responsible. I think signage is gonna take care of most of, any type of would-be problems. But with me, like, the way that I go into solving problems is what is our desired end state, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I asked, what are we really trying to do? Are we trying to mitigate anchorages? Are we trying to create a safe transit, right, channel? Are we just, like, what's the end goal? And then I can process that better and maybe provide some more input. So I don't know what that is, but I know we're just free
I think
flowing
that what
right
we
now.
said is we're trying to control the location, right? We're trying to ensure they anchor in the area designated for them to anchor and not in the area that they should.
That they should, yeah.
I think what you were saying before, I think you were talking the same thing, to keep going, a kind of a guide on where to go.
Yeah.
And not to get out of that zone.
Yeah.
At least in the beginning, going in towards that cove.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
I mean, almost if you take a straight line from here across, right? And then you put that some designation buoys that say,
Residential area.
no anchoring, that point.
At that point, would pilings make more sense than
Could be, yeah.
because pilings are fixed. Buoys turn, they swing. Pilings are fixed. They are true.
So Paul, what's our budget for this?
There isn't one yet. I probably have to take it out of my general, I do have a line item that I use, it's about $5,000 to replace buoys and stuff. start off. Last on pylons, I spent about, I think, it was about $750 per pylon is the last that I think.
Those are something you pound in the dirt, right?
Yeah, they're 35-foot pylons,
Right.
and then the triple pylons,
Okay.
yeah, they're.
How's the maintenance been with pylons versus buoys? Like, what do you prefer from a maintenance perspective?
You know, I've probably in 15 years maybe done 3 pylons. And buoys, I've probably replaced 25. And when they get hit, they'll float off, they're gone. And I think I want to say I'm paying roughly about $400 to $500 per pylon.
Okay.
And I'll probably replace 3 to 4 a year, easy. And you can see where there's snaps too. You can tell somebody's coming with some wire cutters and just pop them.
So you're saying
really?
pylon, you prefer?
Yeah, I mean pylons. Yeah, if you hit a pylon, we know who you are.
So really, you say people are coming through the wire cutters and snapping it? Really?
They're not just getting caught in.
No, we can tell when they get caught in prop, and then we can tell when they're getting snapped. And it's probably usually kids out there just
Goofing off.
goofing off, wanting to ski, wanting to have a bigger area.
Getting in the way of skiing.
Yeah. So like I said, we're up to either 7/3/8 still, or I think maybe be a half-inch thick still, cables and everything.
Now, if you had pilings, would you paint them or in any way? Are they just going to be plain pilings?
The pylons that we currently have would have, I think they're painted on top. I'm not for sure, but we could wrap them. We could wrap them whatever.
They're basically just pressure treated.
Yeah.
Pressure treated poles, and they just knock them on the ground. I think that would go a long ways. Designate. Hey, make sure you're anchoring. Anchor beyond this point. Don't anchor on this side. We can work on the verbiage.
Hey, Chief.
Can I come in?
Yep.
Have a seat.
Wasn't sure the way Brian was looking at me. You're late, can't show up. Apologize for being late.
I think strategic placement also is going to be important, considering some residents there as they come out of their own slips, right? So we just have to be cognizant.
Well, we're coming out of their own slips. I mean, you're talking 300 feet from the nearest point of land on the residential side. So unless they're already on plane coming out of their slip, they're not going to have shouldn't have a concern with hitting those.
Yeah.
Set far enough.
Yeah. I guess not so much.
Or they're just not paying attention.
Or unsightly. Everyone has I don't want a pylon
I think
for 20 years.
I think the problem is more initially keeping the people from anchoring near their home
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
Just gotta throw in a little 2 cents of
Of course.
what people think sometimes, like Chris.
Yeah, so we can look at and figure you probably need. I mean, I like how Tom kind of blocked it off, the individual points, and when we can use that as a base reference with where to stash.
And again, I personally don't think you really need these in this area because I just never see anybody anchor
Too close.
to them. I think it's mainly the code.
Yeah, it's inside there, so you're looking at 3, maybe 4 pilings.
I was thinking 4.
Anchoring beyond here only. You just have turns still.
Sounds good. I can envision all of what we're talking about, and it sounds right, it feels right. Yeah.
So I had a question, talking about navigation. So back in the creek, we had the conversation about the hairpin turn. There was discussion about having to work with Lee City on being able to designate or not designate that as no way.
I didn't hear that part of the conversation. I heard you brought it up. But
Yeah, so right across from where the old, I guess that's the old kayak launch, over there by, was it Serenity? By the Serenity Garden and the
Reflection Garden.
Reflection Garden. And you've got I guess it's used to be an old kayak launch or a small boat.
Yeah, still there.
I mean, it's still there, but it's not really in use the way I guess it had been in the past.
the way it was designed is poor.
I think the city's looking at eventually replacing.
Yeah.
No, we're gonna put in a new dock in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So we've got that as that's a blind bend. When you're coming either way, it meets every legal requirement of being considered a blind bend, which means you're supposed to sound appropriate whistle signals because you can't see around it. No one ever does.
No.
Now, on top of that potential safety risk, you also have, as people come around there, I was down at the park the other day just kind of watching boats zip around. But coming from both directions, inbound and outbound, they all like to take it deep in the bend. And on plane, they're throwing a good wake. Any asset that we put out there, any new dock or anything, is going to be weathered a lot faster than if there was a no wake around that point. You're going to see more wear and tear as you have wake coming by. To preserve the asset and of course to preserve safety, it's something you might want to look into. I've reached out to one of my friends who's on the city council in League City, trying to find out if that's technically their territorial water. I've also reached out to a couple of folks over at county to see if it's their territorial water. So none of them can figure it out.
No, it'd be ours.
No, none of them want to.
Well, the question is we have those buoys marked, which is basically the same thing, right? So if we were able to mark them there, right, why can't we mark them a little further down the creek? Because that's still League City, right?
Well, everything on that side.
There we go. Now we got it. Now we got what we should have right there. Now we got it.
Okay. So.
That's exactly what
This is that blind bend that we're referring to. Over here, it's not bad. There's really not a lot of grass or tall shrubbery or anything, so you can actually see pretty well coming through here. But this point right here, this could get potentially very, very nasty.
But over there where it says Clear Creek,
Right, you're talking right over here.
right, there's buoys in place there, so that's a no-wake zone today.
Okay.
It's standing buoys.
And where does the no-wake start? And where does it
starts basically where it starts where kind of the L is.
Okay.
In Clear Creek, and then it goes all the way back to the marina.
Okay. So it comes all the way through.
And so it's still in an area right where we're bordering between Nassau Bay and League City.
Webster.
Oh, is that Webster?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. No, not there. Well, that's Webster. But what about where the L in Clear Creek is?
Oh, yeah. Where he's got it.
Yeah, right there.
That's split between
Here's Jason.
Webster and Nassau Bay.
Oh, this is zoning map, so you can see that here's the creek, and the colored area is what we've annexed in the water.
Oh,
so you can see it's not really even halfway.
Yeah, that's kind of the.
So we have buoys like right here, and this is League City.
I'm not
right?
sure. Yeah, this is the preserve area down here.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who has those buoys up.
I think.
Paul, do you know whose buoys are out in the water there? I mean, they've been there since I've been here.
At Carolina?
Yeah.
Those are.
Okay.
Yeah. So my question, that's my question. It seems to think if we have buoys there, right, then we should be able to put them there.
Yeah,
Could we, especially around here, reinforce the no wake, like remind folks, we'll throw out another couple of sets, maybe even a flashing light.
That's what I'm thinking. Is
Yeah.
2 buoys there would.
You figure what, 500 foot outside of the point, give or take?
Yeah, I think so.
Just remind them, remind them, or maybe even some signage, blind bend, no wake, slow speed.
Yeah.
Especially coming around here.
That's a real safety issue.
Because it's, you know, and I'm sure, I don't know if there's been any actual accidents. That's the data that we're gonna have to try to do.
Yeah, we did have one a couple of years ago, Chief, right? It ended up, right, I think landing right through here, right, Chief?
Yeah,
Somewhere
somewhere
here, they
here,
come flying, I believe, down here, and then ran right across the hospital.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so it was a
Somebody else
collision, it
got,
wasn't a collision, it was an collision.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a tuber, wasn't it?
Yeah. Two, yeah.
So, you know, talking about things there, let's just talk about David Brown Park and the whole hairpin turn over there. I go out to the dog park every night. My dog makes me go there every night. Last spring I was there, last fall, after sunset, and it was a beautiful evening, just gorgeous evening. I'm sitting there watching a surf wakeboard coming through there, and behind him, this is after dark. He's got a red light real pretty so the surfer can see the water, and he's telling somebody, go upstairs at slow speed because those surfers can't go fast. At the same time, as he's cutting by me, a jet ski comes around that same corner going 90 miles an hour. And I said, God, I don't know what I'm going to do. Can I answer your question? What do we do in the middle of the night, that kind of thing? What do we do? Call Chris up. I mean, what do we do? And that's a big question. Natural danger through there is incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, I think Tom recommended if we do any kind of, I think he recommended maybe some signage on both sides. I think 500 feet, as he said, and maybe with some lights, you know, that because we know something's going to be happening there eventually.
Yeah.
You know, the truth of it is, the way this area is growing now, we're going to get more and more traffic coming from Lake City.
Yeah, especially with their additional development that they're looking to put up.
Yep.
They are putting, not just looking to, they are putting in right there behind Sudi's. The old Sudi's was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a little marina and
They're doing a whole like riverfront
yeah.
build up there.
And that's in Lake City, I think.
Yeah, Lake City. So,
And Webster's, I think they're thinking about doing something like that in Webster too. Maybe Chief knows.
If we do anything with that corner, I know it's going to upset a lot of people that wakeboard because a lot of people wakeboard between that turn and then where that first house is next door, wherever. They just wakeboard in that area, and that would cut that whole area off. And I mean, there's probably at least 50 boats that I saw last year that were there from 6 a.m. until about noon because that water's flat. You know, even if Taylor Lake is, I mean, we're going to piss some people off, and I don't know who we would piss off. It's just there are going to be some unhappy people if we do that. Which I know safety's first, but
I mean, I'm sure you're right,
Yeah.
because, you know, they do push a lot of wake, they generate a lot of noise, and typically those wakeboard boats, that's where I see the noise, that's where I experience the wake. If you can't kayak there because of those wake boats. So.
oh yeah, I'm just saying we're
No,
going
you're
to
right,
piss off some people.
I know you're right.
And then there's the erosion aspect of it. I mean, they have trouble.
That's true.
But that country arc right there gets a lot of erosion.
if you're trying to launch a kayak, once they actually get the new
That new launch.
dock going, someone comes by throwing a pretty hellacious wake. I mean,
So I joined the Houston Canoe Club a while back, and they make a recommendation that people do not kayak coming through that area. It's so dangerous.
makes sense.
Have you seen anybody use that as a kayak launch?
I use it.
Oh, you use it?
but
Okay.
Not often, and being a friend of mine, I've never seen anybody else use it.
Yeah, I've never seen any of
And
it.
so it's not used much.
Yeah.
I only go in the mornings on a weekday. Any other time, I think I'm safe.
And
Yeah.
I know it's gotten used in the past for the Clear Creek cleanup.
Yeah.
I know Jim's, pulled his boat up there and deposited people and whatnot on numerous occasions. We kind of use it as an onboarding, offboarding.
It's so dangerous. I'm so thankful you were there last year because they came around that corner and ended up being a low tide. My boat's, it's got a pretty deep draft on it considering the size of the boat, but you were there to help me secure that and get people off that vessel because I was thinking, how am I going to do this by myself?
Jim, is this a new planned dock or a floating dock?
Yes.
How's that going to work with the place?
Just floating down pretty, yeah.
No, they'll get torn up in places though. Those floating, in fact, if you go, most floating dock manufacturers on their site, they say that you can't have it because it has to be
That makes sense. I think that's what we're talking about. There.
Yeah, and it sounds like this area is technically already designated no wake. So
Right.
additional education, additional signage should help bring, some of that down. And again, when we hopefully we'll be able to put together a thing that's going to go out to all of our for lack of a better term, industry partners. The marinas, the supply places, saying, hey, and of course Coast Guard Auxiliary, when they do their vessel inspections, they can hand out and say, hey, by the way, there's an update, reminders of things here in Nassau Bay. The way we can find every avenue we can to get the word out. That's going to be kind of under a little bit of external communication. But so before we close out the ATON section, discussion and possible action on creating a subcommittee for ATONs.
Okay, I don't understand your acronym.
AIDS to navigation.
Okay.
Yeah, they're referred to as ATONs.
Okay. So we didn't talk about it is the west side, the east side of the peninsula.
Oh, okay.
We didn't talk about that at all. And there's buoys sitting out there, and all those buoys are close to Nassau Bay. They're not over in Lake City at all.
So there are buoys. We're
So
assuming.
I think that's what Paul just said. There are buoys.
So there's buoys 2 locations. There's buoys that are like around the wharf area.
Yes.
And then there's buoys further back.
And it goes all the way out to the tip of our peninsula. And those buoys are old and they've been there a long time. A while back, I went over there just for the fun of it to see if I could pull it out of the water. Could not move that thing. They're all twisted around. A couple more twisted with each other. They're in terrible condition.
Okay. So this is on the Davis Road side.
And y'all maintain those buoys too?
Not that far out.
I thought those were.
I don't think anybody's maintaining those buoys.
I think they're by.
We're talking about right here?
Correct.
Right here?
Yeah.
Jim,
Look up there.
right here? We don't maintain that.
Yeah.
We don't maintain that.
I went down a little further though.
Here?
Yeah.
Nothing through here.
Okay, so that's what I mean.
No, hold on. I'm sorry. I'm getting confused. We do.
I think those buoys are
You know
marked
what?
to a Constellation Point or something.
Yeah, no, we normally maintain the buoys right through here, and then right, I think one here, and then one by Pete's Roca's house. I believe those are only 2 areas that we maintain.
Right there where your cursor's at, right there.
Right here?
Nassau Bay. No, I'm sorry, the other side. Where's that Clear Creek?
No, we've never
We're
maintained.
right across the street from the wharf, and all of them.
No, we've never maintained that.
Right, that's what I thought. Nobody's maintaining those things.
I think it's Lake City side.
No, not our side.
Yes.
That's our peninsula. Yeah, that's the peninsula.
No, I don't.
So this is the Nassau Bay Peninsula, right?
Yeah.
So over here we have the wharf, and that's Lake City over here. But most of those buoys are sitting right through there. Really close to
So
Nassau
they're
Bay.
kind of washed up and drugged on our side.
There's one buoy, I was just there on Saturday. There's one buoy like this, right?
Got drugged.
Yeah, because here's
There's one
here's
buoy
part- this is
right
the
here.
peninsula. And this maybe
And there's
100 feet that we've annexed
one
off
over
here,
here.
off the land. So we
One
have
like
like
right here, one like
water.
right
The majority of the water is.
Let me get with Troy. He normally maintains all that. I'll get with him.
Where there's that? I'll be damned.
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't think, the zoning map, we only got like small, maybe 100 feet off of the peninsula, that's ours. This is the zoning map.
Okay. I'll get with Troy.
I think those buoys are marked with a name of whatever subdivision that is.
So they could be private aids.
I think so.
I think somebody just threw those damn buoys out there.
Well, that could be.
They need to protect that little marina by the wharf.
And that wharf is a whole different story.
Well, you've got the marina by the wharf, and you've got those houses that are right there. That have, the boats are out of the water, but some of them have floating docks there.
Well, about 3 years ago, we had some buoys that showed up overnight in the lagoon area.
Yeah, and everybody paid attention to it. For a day and a half, they followed.
You can, what's the old adage? You can get very far at a construction site if you have a hard hat or an orange vest and a clipboard.
In fact, I don't know how much of a scrounger you all, but I think one of them is actually still on the peninsula that floated ashore.
Oh, okay.
So it's still there.
Oh, yeah, we do it for
Well, we'll be out there, Nick, we'll be out there on the 14th.
I was gonna say, it'll get picked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll pick them up, we'll pick them up.
I totally support the idea of the subcommittee. My only recommendation is just, I would include signage observations in that as well.
Yeah, and ultimately it'll get wrapped in there.
Yeah.
I mean, right now signage is such a major portion.
Yeah.
So I want to keep that separate, but ultimately, it'll get in there and for the most part, ATON's basically trying to be like a maintenance mode on what we've got. If we feel we need more, things like that. And of course, hey, a sign got damaged, or maybe people are reporting that maybe we could use a little bit more visibility.
Yeah.
Ultimately it's going to wrap into just overall the subcommittee. So I guess we'll need, I figure probably 2 of us on the subcommittee to just kind of be the point people for seeing it, reporting it, and
Well, I can get that out there in the water pretty easily in my boat, so.
I'm glad I'm out there pretty regularly.
Okay, so since this is going to be an actionable item on this, we'll need a motion, a second.
A motion to approve the 2 candidates.
Second.
So Jim Stowa and Jason Small will be the subcommittee.
I'm available, so if you need a ride along, buddy.
Okay. More eyes, more eyes, more eyes.
So Jeff moved, Herb seconded, and all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Okay, external communications. Discussion on identifying and possible future collaboration with area maritime partners, identifying ownership stakes of adjacent and affected areas, central committee email to receive input from citizens. So this has got a few angles to it. I think the easiest one is going to be the last item first, is going to be seeing if we can set up a centralized email. I don't know if the city can give us an email, or we need to create a Gmail for the committee. That way we can receive citizen input.
Yeah, we could get email just like we do with the Parks Committee.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that'll be Paul's.
Yeah, I'll follow.
There, and that way we can all get access to it. When if citizens have suggestions, or hey, they see a near miss incident, or God forbid an actual incident or something, we can know about it. We can, use that to make better informed decisions and recommendations going forward.
We just have to make sure that they're not trying to report emergency type situations on that email.
Correct. But it's also going to be, hey, we saw someone, catch a buoy in their wheel, in their prop, drug it off course, or hey,
Yeah.
by the way, there's a derelict boat that's sitting on the other side of the peninsula that we're not able to see unless someone's out there. All these types of things, it'll just be kind of a centralized thing for non-emergency type stuff. I was saying the emergencies, maybe we just set up an auto reply that, thank you for submitting, someone will be back with you. If this is an actual emergency, please reach out and I'll.
So who monitors all that?
Well, on the Parks Committee, it's typically the chair. So Brian would be and it'd go all to him, and then he can send that information to the personal email.
That's why you're the chairman.
That's right. We can just, I don't know,
Yeah.
the Maritime Safety Committee at Nassau Bay, or something simple. We don't want anything too complex.
Okay.
I like the word advisory committee instead of, that's all we're doing, we're just advising, right? We're not making the decisions.
Maritime Advisory Committee.
Well, I mean, our formal name is the Maritime Safety Committee.
Not advisory?
No, the formal name is Maritime
Okay,
Safety.
what about,
Or just
just
for
for,
the
you
initials?
just talking about for an email address.
Just for you.
What about marinesafety@nassaubay.com?
Perfect. There you go.
It's short, it's sweet. Sorry.
No, that's good. And anything to make things easy.
Yeah, I think that's probably easier for people to, try to remember or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, identifying ownership stakes of adjacent and affected areas. Like I said, I've reached out to folks I know on League City Council. He's getting with his city manager, John Bumgardner, to find out if they physically control their waterways or if it's county. I've also got an extension out to one of the county commissioners in Galveston County, and he's following up with his people to try to find out, if it's their responsibility or someone else's responsibility.
Okay, I know the new Marine Division commander for the sheriff's department, be the head of everybody move, but I do know who the new one. I can reach out and see what, so I can.
Yeah, I mean, it's as
In all my free time.
many feelers as we can get out there to get the info.
Yeah.
I'm going to share a funny story with you, Chief, and everybody. So the other day I'm at Classic Cafe, and we're there with the family, and I saw a couple guys from the sheriff's department there, and they're wearing their khaki uniforms. You can tell they brought a boat up to have lunch. There's two guys there, and so I ended up having a conversation with them about living in Nassau Bay and all the stuff that's going on in the lake, and they were just not familiar with all the stuff that's going on in the lake. It's kind of interesting. You'd think they would be, but they weren't. And
From Galveston County
Sheriff's Department.
Sheriff's Department, they focus a lot of their attention down on the along the bay and down along the dike and stuff.
Yeah, sure, that makes sense.
Yeah.
In the Upper Bay, I mean, the ship channel and all that.
And
Right.
Harris County Sheriff's boats will be all up in the
Right.
in the ship channel.
Right.
You know, I'll see them regularly up there.
Yeah, we don't see Harris County down here too often.
Right.
So, I heard you had asked the other day, we were trying to figure out those slips right there along the boardwalk on Upper Bay. Those city slips, those HOA, are they private?
Slips.
Okay, so the HOA owns those slips.
Matter of fact, I just got some pictures to send them.
Okay, so that's just trying to identify who our stakeholders are.
The finger piers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
We own the bulkhead, they own the finger piers. The
Yeah,
ramp that
and-
goes down and the finger piers.
So-
And just to let y'all know, there's a 27 footer that's going to be tied up there overnight because it's got some
Good.
issues.
good.
So we just got contact. So they're going to be there tomorrow to take care of that.
So I think the ultimate goal with the HOA is to turn that over to the city.
Is it?
The HOA.
That's what we're hearing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's what we're hearing.
Yeah, I've been going to the meetings. That's kind of the word.
Yeah.
Because they're done too expensive. The city's got more money. But I do like the fact that during the boat parade, how well they're used by law enforcement. I mean, the sheriff department, the League City PD, and our boats were there during the boat parades.
Yeah, that used to be a rallying point. Now that we've got the off of the leeward side, there's more of a rallying point over there so that everybody has facilities to use, and usually there's food before they all break out. So
Where's that at?
over on leeward, the marine.
18 Leeward?
Right, the dead end leeward, down off by Antigua and stuff. So the condos, the townhouses that were torn down,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and now there's a marine
Yeah.
operations there.
Okay.
Here's the,
Hidden back there, right?
here's the.
Yeah. Yeah. So that'll be the rallying point for all the operations for 4th of July and Christmas parade and stuff like that.
Okay, great.
And then a lot of this other stuff we've already kind of discussed as to who's the area partners. That's the marine dealers. That's the supply. Your West Marine and bait shops and things like that. When we do eventually go out for external communication, these are the folks that we're going to want to be getting our flyers or brochures or whatever the city winds up putting together. We want to get it in their hands. That way people can be as informed as possible of any changes. Coast Guard Auxiliary, I'm not sure how active the Power Squadron is over here, but
Yeah, we all.
yeah. And
All
then
the towboat companies.
Yeah, all the
towboat companies. are
yeah,
very-
yeah, and we get we get this wide when we do get in. Council does get information. Does change something, or we do put they put in new buoys or whatnot. We can make sure we get the word out as effectively and efficiently as possible. So that's. That pretty much covers 3. Okay, on to number 4, neglected vessel ordinance. Review and discussion of existing neglected vessel ordinance. Chief had sent that out to us. Is there really And this is going to kind of be some input from you, Chief, as to.
Yeah, it's fairly new. I mean, this was passed 2020. Yeah, adopted in March of 2020. So it's something new since I've been here. We haven't had a whole lot of action on it. There really hasn't been that. So.
Do you feel there's anything lacking in it that you would like to see? Is
no, I mean I had some input when it was written.
Okay.
I think it pretty much covers what we need as far as if there's something that we need to deal with here. I think it's sufficient at this time. Unless y'all see something that we worked on that back about 5 years ago. So I didn't realize it was 5 years ago. I thought it was more like 3 or 4. But
time flies.
yeah.
Okay.
There's some coffee here, so you can prop for us if you don't.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, noise ordinance. I know this one's going to be a bigger one, so I just kind of want to get our feet wet in with the noise ordinance. I know that's one of the drivers of creating this committee was noise on the water. So item 5 there, noise ordinance, review and discussion of existing residential noise ordinance. Because this is zoned residential, the residential rules apply.
Yeah, I think both of this goes back to the signage.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And, our distribution to marine partners. I don't know, unless there's a patrol that comes out and say, hey, turn the music down. I don't know, they use the same name. So we use the word juice.
The Navy?
Yeah.
The Navy got no assets. How isn't this the biggest reserve base? The biggest reservists out there are the Navy and have no assets. They don't have any boats. They don't. Or around here.
So I'll give you one of our issues is the accumulation of noise. So the decibel meter on my phone right now, we're averaging about 52 decibels just in this meeting here. The ambient sound maximum is 55. For out, I mean, our ordinance is extremely tight. Our maximum right now is 76 maximum decibels in this meeting right here.
And that's measured at a certain distance, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's got to be a certain distance from the.
Yeah, there's guidelines and stuff. So it's difficult. I think we had this discussion the first meeting.
Yeah.
We get some complaints from the shoreline, and it's difficult for the officers that are out there, and there's not one vessel that they're getting all the noise from. It's coming from multiple, and it's accumulating and building up. So when you're standing here and there's 20, 30 boats out there, there's not necessarily, sometimes there is, one boat that's just, it's just easy for the guys to spot who's,
Right.
But a lot of times it's just a mixture of the noise, and they're not really in the great violation of it. It's just, you've got that many people out there on boats, and they're hooping and hollering, and they've got the music playing, and it's, so it's not one particular violator. It's an accumulation of everything. It's, it's kind of like being at the park. If you're out at the park today and there's, one mom and a kid and another mom and a kid over there, it's pretty peaceful. In the summertime when everybody's out there, the park's a lot louder.
Yeah.
So just throwing that out there, it's. So.
Have y'all ever written any noise violation citations on the water?
We have in the past. I shared that with you. I don't know if.
Looks like
last year.
25 noise.
We did those.
Complaints.
Yeah, those are complaints. I'd have to go back citations. No, not last year. There were 20 warnings last year issued out. The theory of the officers out there, and there's about 3 or 4 of them that work on a regular basis during the summer. Every once in a while, they're one of the outliers. Nobody can make it, so somebody else. But and the officers, like Officer Glasgow, he's out on the boat quite a bit. He works Sundays, but he'll be out there on Sundays or even some Saturdays. He knows recognizes a lot of the boaters, the regulars out there. And if they get a little, they just roll over there and tell them to turn it down. there have been some violators that, have gotten completely out of hand or don't want to, abide by, turn it down. So, and that's the theory that we try to go with is, a request to get them to turn it down.
Yeah.
And they usually do. We do have, I would say probably 50%, if not more, of those noise complaints from out on the water in the cove come like later at night, maybe 9, 10 o'clock, even 2 or 3 in the morning. Of course, there's not a boat on the water, so patrol guys go out there and try to do what they can, handling it from, the shoreline with speakers and stuff like that. I would say probably 75% of the time they're compliant. The other 25% they may either pack up and leave, or they just turn up and get louder because they know you can't drive a Tahoe across the water. So that's a problem. But those numbers, the late night numbers, are not included in that what you guys are looking at. That's all just the patrol times that are dedicated to weekend marine operations.
So most of the noise complaints are coming broad daylight, just regular.
I'd say about half and half. There's quite a few. We do get some of them during the summertime, during the weekday, and Monday through Friday. And there's nobody on a boat, Monday through Friday. So we do get some complaints. So I haven't looked at the numbers. I'd say it's about 50-50.
So years ago, y'all had fire department, police department handing out flyers. That must have helped a lot because when we first got started. The voters.
Koozies.
We did koozies about 4 or 5 years ago with some information on the back. I'm trying to remember what information we got. We did hand out flyers during COVID. Because we were getting a lot of complaints that they were rafting up and violating COVID. And, so we put some pamphlets together then about safe boating for, with respect to the COVID regulations. Just
So sure that
That was already 6
I'm
years
sorry.
ago.
I'm sure that
We handed them out. We handed out the information. So, but we did have some. I'm trying to remember what was on the koozies. I know we had the front side and the back side had some rules and regulations. Real quick stuff.
Yeah, real quick.
That's a good idea.
Motor safety.
Yeah.
Voter safety and be respectful.
Yeah.
Noise.
And that's what we try to. I don't have those with me, but both the flyers and the about the noise, be respectful of the residents along the So.
And signage, residential area.
Yeah.
Something along those lines will
May help.
definitely help. Otherwise,
just solve problem solved.
Yeah.
It is.
If nothing's there, they have people with brains to do anything, so.
And the other point of it is it's also non-measurable by the people on the boats too, right? It's not, operate a boat, for instance, compared to a lake, if you're violating it, right? The sound ordinance, you may not know that you're violating.
Yeah, and like I said, there is a distance for it to be measured, but most people don't realize. First of all, don't know the ordinance is 55 decibels, and absolutely don't know what 55 decibels is. How easy it is to reach that. Again, my impression is I think our noise ordinance is a little tight.
Too tight.
It's very tight.
I think it's a little unrealistic, but that's my personal opinion, not a professional opinion. But I think it's a little unreasonable. So, because even the construction, I think is 60 or 70.
Yeah, construction sites are 75.
75, yeah.
From 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Yeah, and I think that's fine.
Being along the water is 10 p.m. realistic? A turning down time, or again, it's enforceability, obviously, but
yeah, it's I think 10 p.m. is pretty late. There's no for the residential. There's no for it's 24 hours.
55.
Yeah, it's 55. Yeah. Well, I think there's some time. No,
yeah,
there's
from
some
10
time.
to 7,
Yeah.
10 p.m. to 7 a.m. It drops down to 50.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
with 5 decibels.
Which takes it from a roar to a dull roar.
Yeah. So,
Chief, are we still operating the 1 or 2 jet skis?
No, the fire department has some jet skis, but I think they're getting ready. They're pretty much past their prime, and they're getting ready to scuttle those and send them off to auction and stuff. So we won't have any jet skis, but we don't use the jet skis for enforcement or anything like that.
Don't.
So no,
We used to, though, didn't we?
not since I've been here.
Oh, okay.
So I have seen one photograph of Chief Casciolo on a jet ski, and I don't know what that was all about.
Yeah, that's like 40 years ago, before you got here.
Yeah. So.
In fact, I've got a neat picture about the Nassau Bay safety boat. I did a boat race out of Nassau Bay for the military out of the Nassau Bay Marina. And I've got several pictures, really neat pictures of that little, only 19-foot Boston whaler race we used to have.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one we had right before this. Before we got this safe boat.
And there was also a fire boat. You know, so I'm so glad we upgraded ourselves.
Yeah. That's when the transmission.
Yeah.
We throw a rod through that or somewhere. So that's why we had the safe boat. So I think we've had the safe boat 4 years.
Yeah, we got the jet skis donated, I think, here in Harvey, and it just went practical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does that mean I can get my floating dock back? So I donated a floating dock with it, put the jet skis on.
Probably.
So it's kind of funny. I found that actually during the cleanup, and I happened to mention it to Jason, and Jason said, "I can use that." So I said, "Okay, Dave, right." So we towed this thing back over there to in the city, put jet skis up on it. This is like four years ago, I guess.
Yeah.
Just before you left.
Under penalties, it shows just a kind of general statement, not to exceed maximum allowed by law. Is there an example of fines that have actually been, issued and dollar amounts? Or anything?
So, and I'd have to look at the ordinance. So some of the ordinances are eligible. It depends on the ordinance. 2,000. Most of them are like 500 is the limit. And I would think this one is, without looking at it, it's 500. But that's not what the judge has set. Most judges have a window fine. So if you walk up and say, "I want to pay my citation," that, without having to come to court, there's a fine already set by the judge. I don't know what any of the fines are. The court, I'm sure, we can find out from Con, but I don't know off the top of my head what the fines are.
The judge has a range that they typically use.
Yeah, and then there's, on top of that, there's a good portion of what you end up paying that's state fees and things like that. So, yeah, added on top of the fine.
All right, so 6 and 7, I'm going to kind of lump those together. A lot of that conversation is going to kind of blend. So data gathering, discussion on what types of voting data should be gathered to help inform future discussions and recommendations. And waterborne activities, discussion on types of activities that we see on the waters, where and when they typically occur. So one's going to kind of feed the other, so we'll just kind of blend them together. And this way we can say, okay, well, we see a lot of wakeboarding or just general rafting up, these types of things, and how we want to gather the data, and that way we can use it for informing ourselves and informing council going forward. Just everything we do, in my opinion, everything we do needs to be as data-driven as possible. That way we've got something backing it when we make a recommendation. So,
You mentioned, I'm sorry, I know you mentioned the rafting up, and I know during the Marine town hall meeting during last summer, there was some discussion about possibly, right now, up to 6 vessels rafting up after that. It's in mileage of the ordinance. And I know there was some discussion about reducing that number, and there was, if I remember correctly, there was some serious pushback from the boating community that was at that meeting, that they felt rafting up in 6 boats was excessive.
no, and the ordinance, the waterways policy that the city has allows up to 6.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah.
And there was some discussion about reducing that number.
Correct.
But there was some pretty good pushback, politely from the boating community that was there, that's one of their things that they enjoy to do. So, just throwing that out there is, there's already been some feedback in the meeting. I don't think we should be looking at it. Y'all should be looking at releasing it.
No, but
You look at maybe not releasing, you're saying.
Yeah, I just, from Paul, if you were there,
Yeah.
I think the boating community was happy with the 6 being the maximum.
now I don't remember seeing anything about. Now I do know that like, once in a blue moon you'll see, they'll raft up, 5 or 6 wide, and then one of them will just put one of the outer boats will put one engine in gear, and they'll just kind of pinwheel them around just to kind of keep. Supposedly that's happened a few times, and I don't think anything in here has that addressed. If there's,
I thought there was, but go ahead and continue on. I'll look.
So when we, that may be something to look into to say, hey, no unmanned, pinwheel, for lack of a better term, pinwheeling while anchored.
So you're saying that's a safety issue?
Exactly. And realistically, that's just something. I mean, even if it is a manned vessel on one side, what do you have? 30, 40 feet on the other side. You're trying to look through bimini tops and cuddy cabins, and depending on
Girls in bikinis.
exactly, or guys in bikinis. I mean, just whatever. You're trying to look through all of this.
Yeah.
You're not able to see the other side. You don't have a clear visual. So again, it could create a safety issue, especially if you have people swimming and they just kind of, if they're just floating there and they just kind of drift into your.
I didn't know people are even doing that. I don't get out to that.
It had been mentioned. I mean, I've personally never seen it, but I've heard it mentioned. Like something to let's get the data, let the data drive it. If it's happening, if it's not happening, then it's not something to worry about.
Yeah, I'm incorrect. I thought it was in there, but I'm looking at that 100 feet from other vessels that are tied or anchored together, so maybe that's where I was reading it up.
So each cluster has to be 100 feet from the next cluster.
Yes.
Do we know of any, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, do we know of any injuries or damage that's occurred in the code?
Not
15 years.
Not since I've been here, in the 6 years I've been here, so. I know there was, from the last 2 or 3 years, there was one call about rafting, the spinning a circular, and when I went back and looked at it, our boat was not in the code. They were out actually on a rescue boat that had crashed into the Clear Lake Bridge over there. So they weren't, so it was a weekend and we had the boat out, but the boat wasn't enforcement in the code because they were out, taking care of a priority. But that's the only one. We've only had one call that I'm aware of.
Okay, so so it may not be an issue, and again, if it's not really an issue, then we're not going to worry about it beyond just kind of keeping an eye out. But how do we want to gather data? What kind of data are we looking for?
Well, for the email account, there's some data points. I don't know what you do with that.
I think general volume would be interesting.
Yeah.
Just how many boats transit through here and how many boats, now how best to gather that data. I mean, that'd be great because something we could take autonomously through camera. But yeah, I think that would be really helpful us understanding what is the volume of boats traffic wise.
So maybe a couple different points on a Saturday and a Sunday, busy weekend, and I think that's something that if Chris is willing to help us with, he enjoys flying his drone. He can get the shot, and then we can go and count the boats.
Yeah, I know from talking to the guys on the boats, on the weekends, it's kind of hard because, there's a fluctuation. I'm not out on the boats with the guys. I'm not here on the weekends that often, but the times I have come out here, there's boats coming and going, so that number's going to fluctuate, there's different weekends. I know during COVID, the code was pretty tight packed. Yeah, I mean, from the guys who did their best, there was, depending on the weekend, anywhere between 80 and 120 boats in the cove. I mean, you just couldn't move. Last year, I think the guys, they were probably saying between 40 and 50 boats.
Average.
Average,
So it's gone down a lot then.
Yeah.
That's still a lot of boats for that area.
It is, yeah. And some of them are really small, are fairly small, you know, and there's one or two that are just, you know, huge yachts. You know?
And then that's the other thing, so volume, type of vessels coming in.
Size.
You know, we getting little wakeboard, jet skis, center consoles, outboards, or are we getting, you know, the mega yachts?
Yeah, it's a combination from what, you know, like I said, I'm not out there on the boat with the guys every weekend and stuff, but when I had to come out here just to see that, you know, it's a combination out. You know, you guys probably know better than I do because you're out there, but I know it's a combination. You see the jet skis, the personal watercraft, you know, the small, I mean, they're out there, you know, some of them in small fishing vessels, not even, you know, we're not even talking.
Airboats.
Yeah, I think we took care of that one. I think we took care of that one.
A lot of these, now, a lot of these guys with these air-cooled engines, these, we call it
The mud motors.
mud motors,
Yeah.
yeah. And I understand that they're so dang loud. They still come through.
Yeah, we did that one last year. We ended up taking care of that one. And, that was actually, it wasn't a young teenager. He was in his later 20s.
Yeah.
It did a significant amount of damage on the peninsula, didn't
It was all over on it wasn't on the path or anything like that. It was over on this side, on the cove side. So it was all, you know, salt grass and stuff like that. So yeah.
So for data gathering, would you like overthinking possibly from just throwing something out like every other week on a Friday, Saturday from this time to that time, or alternate, and then whatever points we decide to gather information, data on, just report back just so we can have consistency of specific time, specific day, at least that'll give us a trend.
Yeah.
Just throwing something.
And that's kind of what the street committee did. They designated some people every Saturday, every other Saturday to go out and evaluate the streets, so maybe something to that effect.
So
We got some pictures, some drones.
I've got access to Chris's drone. I mean, you know, you can just send it up there, take a couple pictures, video, or what have you, and kick that off to us, and then, you know, during the week, you know, one of us can just compile
Do
it.
transit. I mean, you can get a snapshot, right?
Oh yeah, that's what I
Over
have.
time, right?
Yeah.
You got a snapshot.
And even looking at the 4th of July, there were 2 groups of boats that definitely have more than 6. And there's probably, I don't know, 100 boats in that picture.
Right.
But that's the 4th of July.
4th of
That's
July.
that's the most that's ever been.
Yeah. What time was that image? Because they, you know, the boat. If it was late in the evening, they may be.
6:33.
Yeah, the boat was probably out of the cove and over and getting ready to, you know, prepare for. Could bring the guys off the boat and let them eat. Then they get back on the boat and then they go and have a meeting to get prepared for it because they've got to shut down the Clear Creek and put a buffer around the peninsula for where the fireworks are going to be. So there's a period of time where the boat's not available for enforcement purposes because it's getting ready for the show. So
I could put a webcam in front of my house and record a period of time too, just measure.
You're directly on the point, or you?
No,
set it
on a fan,
he's right across from the finger pier
right
truck.
across the finger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, traffic over by you. You're over in Blue Ball Harbor.
You know, Baycrest, I'm not on the water, I'm across the opposite side of the street, but the house in front of me are on the water. Well, it's so shallow there, we don't get much boat traffic coming in beyond the channel.
Yeah, other than who's coming in to actually go in and out of their slip.
Yeah, we haven't experienced too much conservation over their activity or stuff over, you know, once you get past the Lockheed building, I don't think we've, you know, responded to any enforcement actions that I can remember.
We do occasionally get some boat noise that carries.
National Day.
And I have some really good pictures of some very low tide that shows the channels. I can send out to the group.
That'd be great.
Really good. Yeah, when that north wind comes through,
Yeah.
it gets good.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, the Christmas parade. I mean, they were beaching boats regularly that night because it was a strong wind. And about half of the parade didn't make it all the way down to Key. So, yeah.
So I've been in that parade so many times that I can't count. It's so interesting because of the time of year it is. You're out there in a short sleeve shirt like this, and you get a northern blow through it. It's like, well, it changes everything.
Yes, sir.
We've got a pretty good starting point. You know, first meeting of just us.
Just going to your point 7, sorry.
Oh, that's happy. And the camera, not just us.
You know, maybe as a part of this, and I don't know if this is in the area that's coming here or not, but you know, I think that one of the things that I've noticed is it seems like of Nassau Bay, a lot of the citizens themselves don't really utilize the water in the area. And I don't know how much of that is because, you know, what goes on in it, but I think it'd be great to try to put either things in place with increasing the safety or even other programs to help increase that, really get the city and the citizens being able to utilize the code.
I mean, the best way to get that information, I think, is we could develop a survey.
Yeah.
And we can send it out to, just in general, I mean, we've got the system, send it out. You know, voters, do you utilize the code? Do you how many times a year? Things of that nature. We can kind of just find out the whys, the who's, the hows. Yeah, data.
Yeah,
that data to drive it in.
And I know one discussion that was brought up in the meeting was maybe talking about the cigarette boats or the loud boats. Go fast boats. So something just to bring up for discussion.
There's two things there. There's one, if it's no way, can they abide by that at least that keeps the speed down? And then the other is a lot of them have exhaust bypass.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And that's the issue. It's a noise ordinance issue, but again, how do you catch them once
They want that bypass, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, this is quiet.
Yeah. I mean, they paid a lot of money for it, so they would use it, you know.
But it's the same thing as an air brake for trucks.
It's the same thing.
You know, going through a city, you know, you use your air brake at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're waking everybody up on the street.
So yeah, I mean, again, post it, hope that they adhere to it, and then really beyond that, all you can do is try to catch it before.
Educate, inform, and then after that, that's the last line of defense there.
Yes.
Yeah. Change behavior and you give them a ticket, right? You know, make them pay.
Cool. Need to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Just one question. So you're not on the water a lot, you said, right?
I'm sorry?
I said you said you're not on the water a lot yourself.
No, not personally.
Yeah. But I'm just thinking, sometimes when that boat shows up, the bad people just kind of go away, don't they?
Well, what I've noticed is for you guys, they wait till you leave.
Yeah.
The Coast Guard or the Texas Parks guys come out. Once they get one guy, everybody's scattered. I kid you not. All of a sudden you'll see once they make that first boarding, all of a sudden you'll see 4 or 5 boats leave, 6 boats leave.
Yeah, we'll do the inspections, but we don't board the boats because we only have one officer enforcement. You know, we haven't gone through the extensive training of boarding the boats. Fire department, you know, you don't want to be that close to the boats and stuff. So
It's something we can do. We just we're not prepared to do it right now.
Yeah.
So if we have the state fishing game, and we're going to do a workshop or something for the volunteer guys.
I still think that Coast Guard 50 caliber on the front of it does
Exactly.
more to keep people calm than anybody.
The tourists.
Exactly.
Yeah, a motion to adjourn.
Okay, we got a motion to adjourn, for a second. All right, so move. All right, all in favor?
Thank you. Good.
All right, appreciate it.